No one ever imagined that the night would be one of the most silent and painful nights in the journey of two names already known to millions of people around the world. Outside the building of the Seoul Central Hospital, the city continues to spin with the usual bustle. The lights of cars are milling. People are walking briskly, laughter, complaints, music from cafes that have not yet closed. It was as if the world did not know that on the third floor of a room with the curtains closed, someone was struggling to open his eyes again, and someone else was struggling not to be crushed to see him. Park Jimin lay weak in the hospital bed, his face paler than usual. A white blanket covered his small but so far so strong and flexible body on stage. Medical wires were connected to his body, monitors emitting regular sounds that became the only evidence that everything was still working as it should. His breathing was slow, regular but clearly heavy, as if every pull was a skirmish. Next to him, sitting for hours and not shifting a bit, Jungkook in a black hoodie and mask, is now lowered to his chin because he's too tired to care how he looks. The eyes are red, puffy, tired lines are clearly visible. His hands clasp Jimin's hands with both hands, strong but cautious, as if he was afraid that grasping too weak would make Jimin disappear, and grasping too strong would make him sick and no camera. There is no stage. There is no choreography. No costumes. No forced smiles for fans. There is no need to appear strong. For the first time in a long time, there were no masks of any kind. Only people remained. It all started with a busy schedule the last few weeks. Jimin is preparing a major project whose plans are announced early next season. Hours of vocal rehearsals, long recording sessions, visual concept meetings, much heavier choreography rehearsals because he wanted to convey something through his body. Jimin always works with the heart, and when he works with the heart, he forgets his body has limits. Since his debut, he has always been. Smile when sick. He is the one who comforts others when they are the most vulnerable. Bear the pressure in silence. And the person who knows best is not the manager, not a producer, not even family, but Jungkook. Jungkook has seen every fatigue Jimin hides, from their trainee days full of uncertainty to the biggest stages in the world full of sounds and highlights. He knew when Jimin's smile was just a smile. He knew when Jimin was holding something back. He knew when Jimin was tired but said, "I'm fine." And that night, Jimin's body decided to be honest first, then his mouth, at the end of the rehearsal. When everyone began to prepare to go home, Jimin suddenly stopped in the middle of the rehearsal room. His breath was hunting, his hand reflexively holding part of his chest. Jungkook, who was in another studio at the time, received a frantic text message from one of the background dancers. He doesn't think, not tidying up anything, didn't bring anything, it just ran. When he arrived and saw Jimin sitting on the floor with his body shaking, something inside him collapsed. Jungkook's world is not a stage, not applause, not an achievement. The world was named Jimin, and at that time the world looked very fragile. The hospital, after the medical team stabilized Jimin's condition, they explained that his body was exhausted, his emotional stress had accumulated, and he had been eating poorly and sleeping poorly for several days. There was no word dangerous in the report, but the word exhausted was enough for Jungkook to blame himself. Because he felt he should have seen. He should know. He shouldn't let Jimin take it upon himself anymore. And since then, he has not left Jimin's side for a second. Hours passed. Nurses came and went, checking Jimin's condition, taking notes on the noteboard, checking for fluids. Every time they entered, they would find Jungkook in the same position. Sitting, looking down, grasping that hand tightly. Not talking, not moving. But his eyes continued to glaze over. When one of the nurses tried to suggest that Jungkook take a break, he just shook his head and said, "If he wakes up, he should see me here." And nobody said anything after that, because the tone of his voice is not the tone of a stubborn person. It was the voice of someone afraid of losing. A few hours after midnight, as the world grew quieter, Jimin finally showed signs of regaining consciousness. His fingers moved slightly, small, barely noticeable movements if a person did not wait with his whole soul. But Jungkook watched. "Jimin." His voice broke instantly. As if he had just regained his breath, Jimin's eyes moved slowly. So slow. Opening your eyes is a hard task. The light of the lamp makes it need time to focus. But as his vision began to clear, he saw a face he knew better than his own shadow, Jungkook, with puffy eyes, a tired face, but a gaze full of something so warm and painful at the same time. "Kook," Jimin whispered, barely audible as soon as the name came out. Jungkook lowered his head, held his breath, then nodded many times. "Yes, I'm here. I'm here." Jimin smiled weakly, a smile like broken glass. "Beautiful but fragile. Are you crying again?" Jungkook rubbed his eyes quickly. "No." Then after 2 seconds, he sighed and confessed in a resigned tone, "Yes." Jimin wanted to laugh, and he laughed, very slowly, almost like an exhalation. But the laughter was accompanied by tears falling from the corners of his eyes. Jungkook immediately wiped it off before it could fall onto the pillow. "Don't cry," Jim said. "You're the first one to stop scaring me." Jungkook replied quietly. Jimin's eyes weakened again, but not because he wanted to sleep, more because he wanted to hold back the emotions that felt too much in his chest. "I don't want you to worry," Jimin finally whispered, as was his old habit. Jungkook immediately shook his head. "Not you. Me." His voice is slow but firm. "I'm worried." The room became so quiet after that sentence, and that's where that reality feels like holding the breath of the whole world. Jungkook does not speak as an idol. Jimin doesn't smile as an idol. No camera, no fans. There is no stage. All that remained were two hearts, guarding each other while being wounded, and perhaps, if the world sees this, it will understand something that so far has only been guessed, that there are things greater than any image, fame, or relationship label. There is genuine affection. There is a real fear. There was a loss that almost happened. And there is someone who refuses to let that happen. Jimin looked at Jungkook as if he wanted to say many things at once, but his body was still too weak to talk long. He only linked his fingers slowly, replying to Jungkook's grasp. Small movements, but enough to make Jungkook's chest feel tight. He lowered his head slightly, his forehead touched the back of Jimin's hand, and for a few seconds, the two were silent. They don't need words. The silence of the night and the sound of the monitor engine already speak loud enough. Outside the room, the manager and some staff were still waiting with tired faces. They restrain information from spreading. No one wants to see big news come out that night. No one wants to see sensational headlines about Jimin's health adorn the front pages of the media tomorrow morning. It's not about industry. It's not about the schedule. It's about someone who has been giving everything without ever asking for anything back. When Jimin finally gathered a little strength to speak more clearly, his voice sounded hoarse. "You're not home." Jungkook didn't answer. "It is not necessary." The answer is already visible in the way he sits, the way he breathes, the way he looks. Jimin understood without explanation. "If you stay here, you'll get sick, too?" Jimin tried to rebuke, even though his tones sounded like someone who was afraid of damaging something fragile. Jungkook nodded slowly. "When I get home, I can't calm down." He looked at Jimin, this time without holding anything back. "I don't want to lose anything without knowing." That sentence entered Jimin's heart deeper than he thought. Because in recent years, a lot has changed. Each goes through its own project. A lot of travel. Many of the stages they went through were not side by side. They stay close, keep remembering each other, but time sometimes runs too fast. Jimin closed his eyes for a moment. Breathing is slower, but more stable. "I'm just taking a break, Kook. I'm not going anywhere." And at that point, the tears Jungkook had endured for hours finally fell as well, without sobbing, without a sound. Just fall, slowly, honestly. He held Jimin's hand a little tighter, as if tying an unspoken promise. "I know," he whispered. "But I stayed."